What's going on, everyone? This is Erik with Full Man MMA, and today I am joined by the #1 UFC middleweight, Robert Whittaker. Robert, how are you?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for coming on. You're in Houston right now, is that correct?
I am.
When did you get there?
A couple of days ago. I like to come early to adjust the time clock and sleep schedule and get over the jet lag.
You've been finding some training out there? Where have you been going to gyms?
I went to Henzo Gracie's down the road. It was good. I don't train too much at this period. Now, I've tapered off. It's kind of just about manipulating the weight, getting the weight down for the weight cut, and just keeping the blood flowing, keeping the blood moving.
Of course. So obviously, pretty big fight. We're all excited about it coming up, UFC 271 against Israel Adesanya. I've been listening to your interviews leading up to this fight, and you talked a lot. Everyone's been asking you, how's this fight going to be different? I was wondering, you talked a lot about, obviously the mental side of things, how it's been different for you since, kind of rediscovering your love for the game. But I was wondering from a physical preparation standpoint, have you worked on anything differently from the last time that you approached this fight?
Definitely. Well, I say definitely because after the loss for the first fight, I changed a lot of things inside and outside of the octagon. And one of those things was how I trained and how I liked to do things. So that included manipulating the training, changing some sessions here, changing some sessions there, trying out some new coaches and all that stuff. So my training from the first fight is, completely different.
In what ways have you been, I know you talked about you were sparring. There's a lot of fighters that don't like to spar very much anymore. Like, what kind of ways have you changed it?
Like from the first fight?
Yeah.
It's hard to say. It's like I just do things that agree with me. Like I enjoy it. The timing is different. The sessions themselves are different. Like we have short spurts of hard training, and then we have like longer sessions of less intense training. A big thing has been lifting the intensity of the training by shortening the amount of training time, and that's been a big help for me.
Yeah, definitely. And, there's a lot of talk. You're obviously in different positions going into this fight. You are the contender once again, obviously a little bit of an underdog going into this rematch as well. Is this a role that you're more comfortable with? You're not the one with necessarily all the expectations on your back. And you've mentioned in the past that you like to be a little bit of an underdog.
Yeah, it's it's not that I like being an underdog. I've just spent most of my career as the underdog, so it doesn't bother me whether I'm the underdog or not. It's just another fight, honestly, and that's how I'm treating it going in. It's no different than the last fight I had, and my preparation hasn't been more or less intense. It's been the same because I give 100 every time I can. So.
On that topic, I guess, do you really even care about having the belt anymore? You say that you approach every fight differently. You don't like to put more weight into certain fights, despite, how big this fight is. Is holding the title, being the champion, is that something that you really still value?
I value it in a sense that like having the belt is better than not having the belt, but it's not something I put a lot of stock in. It's not something it's not something I'm driving to want. My drive is to beat Izzy. That's the drive, to win this fight. It's not to win this fight for the belt. It's not to win this fight to be the champ. It's just to beat Izzy. That's my fight. That's my goal. That's my drive.
And of course, we've known about this fight for a pretty long time. It's been rumored. Dana White announced it, I think, before it was like officially ready. You said a lot of games coming out of his side of the camp. But you've known about this fight for quite some time now. How long have you actually been training for this rematch?
Mate, it feels like the camp's been going forever because after my last fight, obviously I knew that the fight was coming. The next fight was for the title, so I had to wait for that. And then the pandemic hit. They couldn't get out of the country or in the country or whatever it was. And so it just kept getting pushed back further and further and further. But during that time I was training. So it just kind of dragged out, it feels, but in saying that, it also feels like it was a short camp because it feels like I fought a couple of months ago just because of how 2021 was. It was a weird year, so yeah, it feels like a long camp, but it was a good one.
Yeah, and talking about that, you fought a murderer's row of opponents to get back to this belt. Kind of rare for a former champion. Just lost the belt, and now all of a sudden you go and you fight 3 times right away. of course, Darren Till, Jared Cannonier, Kelvin Gastelum were the three opponents. I was wondering, if you had to pick, who was your toughest fight leading back to this title?
I think my toughest fight comes from Till, not because of the physicality of the fight. Like, they were all hard as nails, and in those fights at the level we're in, you slip once, you lose. That's it. You know, it's just that with Till, mentally it was a little different because I was coming from a loss. I just lost the belt. I had changed a lot of things up inside, outside the octagon, and going into that fight, you know, there was a lot of mental pressure on me because to win justifies all the changes. To lose means maybe I shouldn't have changed anything. Yeah, you know, and I didn't want to be that ex-champ that loses the belt and goes on a losing skid like they all do, you know, because they're fighting the best in the world. You know, anyone in the top 10 could be the next champion, but it doesn't get shown like that. So but yeah, regardless, that was the hardest fight, I think like just from a mental and emotional standpoint.
Okay, interesting. And he had a bit of a tough outing in his last fight against Derek Brunson. He came out afterwards. Of course, he had that knee injury. I was wondering, did you see the fight against Brunson, and what are your thoughts about Till as a contender right now?
I did see the fight, and honestly, like he looked like he fought injured. That's what I saw, and yeah, that's all I can comment on it. I thought it was an excellent showing from Brunson though, because Brunson did his thing, and he's looked in fine form lately.
Yeah, he's looked like a killer. It's funny. He's, potentially he was kind of in that gatekeeper role for a little bit, especially after, you beat him, Izzy beat him. Now he's in a position he could be fighting for a title pretty soon as well. So maybe you and Brunson rematch in the future. I also wanted to ask.
Don't jinx me, mate.
No, you don't want to fight Brunson again?
I don't care.
Well, somebody that you were supposed to fight, and then of course Kelvin Gastelum filled in, was Paulo Costa. Bit of a character, Paulo. He's been all over the media actually this past week, saying that he wants to rematch Marvin Vettori at 185. You were pretty tough on him for making them move that initial matchup up to 205. Do you think that he should stay at middleweight? I mean, what do you think about Paulo's whole weight situation?
It's not that I'm tough on him. Like, he's a grown-ass man. You know, we're all professionals of the sport. But you sign the contract at 185 and you get nowhere near it. It's a bit of a slap in the face. You know, it's like an electrician going in but forgetting the wires. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I said, been listening to you all week. You just can't wait to eat food after this fight. Is that right?
Yeah, that's the first checkpoint, the first milestone. The first thing to look forward to is to make the weight and get a good feed in.
What's the junk food of choice after fight week?
Well, no, you know what the thing is, and it's like the after the fight, every junk food is the junk food. I'm gonna, all food is good food. The thing is, I haven't eaten to that feeling where you get so full you just can't eat anymore, and you just want to sleep. You lose all your energy because it's gone to digesting the food, and you just want to sleep. I want that. That's the feeling I want, and that's what happens after weighing, because even though I'm still eating relatively clean because I'm fighting the next day, I can just eat until I'm full. And I look forward to that.
I've actually always been curious. I didn't even intend on asking you this. How much do you actually eat after you weigh in leading up to the fight? Because as you said, you do have a fight the next day, but you've been, draining yourself all week.
Yeah, I have a system, but it's usually about 3 or 4 meals.
Okay. That's not as much as I was expecting, honestly. That you would go,
3 or 4 meals on the
calories.
first day, and then I go to sleep, and then I have breakfast, and then lunch, and then it's fight time usually.
Okay, that makes sense. I wanted to ask you leading into this fight, you don't like to make these fights too personal. I know you don't like to, be friends with your opponents because it makes it easier to fight them. But, just the history that you and Israel have, would you get a little bit more of a personal satisfaction out of beating specifically Israel to get this belt back?
Maybe. It's one of those things that, like, it's after the fight, so I don't think about it. So, I don't let myself focus on anything past the fight. Anything.
Of course. And got to ask you about this as well, because this has been a big topic at just the beginning of this year. This topic of fighter pay and fighters' rights. Obviously, a lot of it is being fueled by Jake Paul's like beef with Dana White. I was wondering, do you think that Jake Paul discussing these issues is actually bringing awareness to a pretty important issue for you fighters, or is it being distracting?
I got no idea, and I haven't given it a lot of thought, and I'm not going to fight week.
Very fair.
I got nothing.
That's fair. That's fair. And before I let you go here, I've been keeping up with your Twitch streams, Rob. You have a pretty big channel actually on Twitch, especially in comparison to a lot of other fighters. Is that something you're going to get into again after this fight week?
Yeah, definitely. I owe it to him because I went on pause whilst I trained for this fight. So look for me coming back at Rob Whittaker MMA on Twitch when I get back. They are deserving of it. I have a very strong community and strong fan base. So I love those guys, and I look forward to coming back.
That's awesome. You play any games on the plane? I know it was a long ride over here.
Not the plane. The plane I read books. At the moment, though, I'm flipping between games.
Okay. Well, we'll make sure to link the Twitch below and YouTube as well. You just started a YouTube channel. Is that right?
Just started the YouTube channel. Yes, I did.
What kind of content are you going to be posting there?
At the moment, it's going to be a lot of fight-orientated stuff. I think I'm going to move into some fight analytic sort of breakdowns. And then I want to move into some video games, like video game reviewing and things like that.
Oh, that should be awesome. Well, you're a fan favorite, so I'm sure it'll blow up in no time. We'll make sure to link that in the description below too. But yeah, Robert, that's pretty much everything I got for you. Before I let you go, anything else, sponsors, teammates, personal stuff you wanted to shout out? I'll give you the floor real quick.
Oh, mate, that's a loaded question. I want to thank all my sponsors, but do I list them out? No, I have a great support group of sponsors, and I have the best support group of fans. But yeah, just pay attention to the fight. It's going to be a good one.
Awesome. Well, make sure to tune in. Robert Whittaker, everybody. Thank you so much again, Rob.
Thank you, mate.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for watching this video. If you like our content, be sure to subscribe to Full Man MMA. And while you're at it, make sure to hit the bell icon as well so you never miss an update from us.